Dr. Rita, Louise, and thank you all for tuning into the show today. I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I missed you all, but I had such a good time. I was with my kids and my grandbabies and eating turkey, and it was wonderful. But I'm glad to be back to be with you. And I think we're going to have a great show today. We are going to be talking about herbs and supplements you can use to support you as we move into the winter season. Because for some reason, after Thanksgiving, the weather all turned around the country. You know, I went to school up in the Great Lakes area. I went to Oswego State, which was on Lake Ontario, and it would get lake effect snow, which meant the wind and whatever would come across the lake. It would pick up moisture and dump it on the town. And so having 13 feet of snow for the winter was not abnormal. So they were showing like rulers in the ground. I mean, I was watching the news and they're going, oh my God, there's 18 inches of snow. They didn't even close the schools for 18 inches of snow. They were so used to having record snowfall there every year. But for the rest of us who don't want to walk around with 2 down jackets on and a hat and a hood and gloves and boots and all of that stuff, you know, there are things we can do to support our immune system. Or if we feel like we maybe have a little something coming on, that we can do to support our health and support our immunity. And actually, many of the things that I'm going to talk about you might already have at home. So to start, I'm going to start with this one. I just kind of have a funky list, really funky list today. So I remember, okay, so this is like totally old school. But one of the remedies that you can use is lemon. Lemon juice is high in vitamin C. It can reduce a cold or fever, and it can reduce any phlegm from any respiratory infection that might be going on. And I remember as a kid, if we were sick, my mom would take lemon juice and mix it with hot water and heat it up, and then sprinkle cinnamon on top and give that to us to drink, which actually wasn't all that terrible. But you know, there's a method to the madness, because cinnamon is also an herb that you can use if you're just feeling under the weather. It's an analgesic, which means it offers a certain amount of pain relief, but it also warms the blood. It stimulates blood flow. And so if you're feeling cold or chilly, you know, adding some cinnamon to what you're eating will help ward that off of you. You know, so again, some hot water with lemon juice and a little sprinkle of cinnamon on it works great. It's almost up there with chicken soup. You know, and another one that many people don't talk about, but if you're feeling chilly, you know, or have a cold, you can use cayenne pepper. So, you know, like that hot, spicy pepper that you might put in chili or, you know, some other kind of food. I mean, obviously they make this in a capsule, you know, so you can take a larger dose, but it doesn't mean that you can't sprinkle some cayenne pepper onto something that you're eating. Cayenne pepper is antimicrobial, which means it, you know, kills microbes in the body. It is known to help shorten a cold or flu. And again, it brings heat to the body. Another herb that many people have in their house, whether it's in a powdered form or in a fresh form, is ginger. Ginger is also antimicrobial. And one of the things that ginger is really good for, if you're kind of looking for that thing, is if you have nausea and vomiting. I mean, think about it. How often do you think about getting a glass of ginger ale if you have an upset stomach? And you go for the ginger ale, not 7 Up, but ginger ale, because it has the ginger in it and it helps calm the stomach down. Okay, so all right, so this is kind of a weird one, but it's a good one, and that's thyme. So when I think of thyme, and that's THYME, not the clock time, um, I think about roasting a chicken. I don't think about it for its herbal properties, but when talking about colds and flus, thyme is actually a great one. It is antimicrobial, so it'll kill microbes. It's antiviral, and it is recommended for respiratory infections and coughs. And actually, it can help the body sweat out a cold. And so you might be thinking, all right, so what am I going to do with that? Do I need to make a chicken to get some thyme in? But actually, the thyme or even the ginger, you can take it and add it to some boiling water and let it steep and make a tea out of it, and then sip on that. Think about it. You could add some cinnamon, which is going to warm the body, or you could add a little dash of cayenne pepper, again, which will warm the body. Both herbs that I would think every household would have. Another one is oregano, and so there are a lot of people that swear by, including myself, oregano oil, which is antibacterial, antimicrobial, antifungal. But it will sit there and help cut any infection that might be going on in the body. Okay, let's see. Okay. So this was a kind of funny one. So when I was kind of digging around for stuff to talk about, I found this like old school remedies. And one of the remedies they had was for dealing with pain. And the suggestion was drink whiskey. I don't know. I might be okay with that, but old school recipe. But another herb that many people have at home is peppermint. So peppermint by itself will reduce inflammation like swelling, especially swelling in the nasal cavities, especially if you breathe it in, and it also will soothe the throat. So making a cup of peppermint tea and then kind of smelling it, will help open up the sinus cavities. And as you sip it, it will help soothe the throat. And then one other one is chamomile. And I think most houses have like bags of chamomile tea, which is always a great go-to. But chamomile will relieve congestion from a cough and fever while it's promoting sleep. And many times when we're not feeling good, we're also not sleeping well. And so doing something to help the body rest and get the sleep that it needs is just very beneficial, so perhaps having some chamomile tea, is just very important when you're sick. And so all of these things that I'm talking about, obviously are things that you might have at home. They are things that you can get in the supermarket. Many of these things like the ginger and the chamomile and whatever come in like tea bags. And so you could just have some tea bags, which will stay on the shelf for a really long time, and just have it in the background. Another one is echinacea. So you can get the supplement echinacea, but there are also a lot of teas that are immune boosting teas that will have echinacea and perhaps other things in them as well. The same with elderberry. So elderberry, many people will give that to children because it is child safe and will boost their immune system. And so they often will work with elderberry by taking a little bit of it every day just to keep the system in peak performance. And one of the other things that I recommend for people to just have on hand is some zinc and vitamin C. So those aren't herbs, those are supplements. Um, but those will also help the immune system, especially the vitamin C. There are those emergencies. And I know when I'm not feeling well, I'll take 2 emergencies a day, one in the morning and one at night. But I'm really old school. I have my old bottle of Vicks Vapor Rub. So if I'm getting any kind of a respiratory thing going on, I break out the Vicks. And I bet if you look in your closet or in your medicine cabinet, there's an old bottle of Vicks sitting back there that you can just tap into and use to help make you feel better. But as I said, as the winter is coming on and the cold and flu season is upon us, having things at home handy for you to use to raise your immunity, help you get through any cold or flu that might be trying to get your attention. And one of the things that I do, and one of the practices that I have, is that if I feel like I'm starting to get sick, so I don't wait until I'm sick. I'm like, okay, I have a scratchy throat, or my sinuses are feeling a little funny. And so I'll do things in a more preventative way. In fact, earlier this week, I really wasn't feeling it's not that I wasn't feeling very well, but my head wasn't feeling real well. And so I took some echinacea, and by the next day, whatever was trying to come on, I knocked back out. And so being preventative about your health and your immunity is going to make it so that you can get through the winter without getting really sick and curling up on the sofa, feeling like you're going to die. Anyway, so that's my thing for today. And before I roll over and say hi to people and start doing readings, I just want to remind everyone that this show, I only do little baby mini readings. And so if there is something that is going on in your life that you need some guidance and some insights to, please reach out to me at my webpage, soulhealer.com, and schedule a private consultation. Also, if while you're out and about, all right, I'm going to get that. Please follow me on social media. At Just Energy Radio on YouTube, Dr. Rita Live on Facebook, Psychic Doc on Rumble, Dr. Rita Louise on BitChute, and Dr. Rita Louise on Twitter. And like and subscribe and do all of those things that you do on those different platforms. If you're listening to this show on Rumble, if you are listening to this on ERRT Radio, or you're listening to it in a pre-recorded form and you want to join the fun and get an on-air psychic reading from me, Dr. Rita Louise, please go to the easiest place. Okay, the easiest place to be able to interact is by going to YouTube and going to my YouTube channel, Just Energy Radio on YouTube. That's 3 words, Just Energy Radio on YouTube. And hit the live button at 7 p.m. Central and join the festivities. And then just one last thing, I'm going to switch over. If you want to communicate with me, please do it in all capital letters so that I know that you are trying to talk to me and not just interacting with people in the chat room. And I'm going to say this part out loud. If you have a question that you want to ask, okay, not a question regarding like a reading kind of thing, but perhaps you want to know about an herb for a certain thing, or, have a general question that would interest everyone. Please feel free to ask those questions, to post those questions, because I'll be more than happy to answer them. With that said, let's get the party started. Okay, so I'm just going to say hi to people. And when I get to somebody that wants a reading, I'm just going to